My name is Sasha Berleman, and I'm the director of the Fire Forward program at Audubon Canyon Ranch. And here we're standing next to an area that has not been burned or treated in any particular way in recent history. And you can see it's dense with material, growing vegetation and not growing vegetation. So we've got really tall resprouts and seedlings, and we've got a really high density of trees growing behind me. A lot of those are young Douglas firs, and this is a pretty common thing that happens in Northern California, where when we remove tending and stewardship from the landscape, we see the number of small Douglas firs really skyrocket. And as they come in, any of those old, beautiful hardwoods and the higher diversity of trees that we like to see that add all these ecosystem benefits start to suffer. So if we have hardwoods in the understory, they get overtopped by those Douglas firs. Those Douglas firs aren't doing very well, they're not very healthy, and we see all those other trees that are underneath them that have been there for a very long time starting to die. The overall diversity decreases. We end up with a lot of fuel on the surface, and so the number and diversity of forbs and flowering plants and plants that produce berries, those all start to decrease as well. There is value for this type of ecosystem setup on the landscape. This provides some habitat value, but in pockets. And what we tend to see is that this is a very common state of being across these ecosystems in Northern California, and they result in a lower resilience to drought, to pathogens, and to wildfire. And so overall, we're trying to tend for a mosaic structure on the landscape, and we're trying to reduce the overall cover of this structure on the landscape and get the landscape to have more diversity, more areas where the forest is resilient to those stressors and can endure over time. And you can really see that here in the canopy. There's an old madrone that has come down, and that's something that we're seeing a lot of. Those hardwood trees just can't keep up once there's so much competition from all those small Doug firs.